Welcome to the inaugural episode of Hustlers, Gamblers, and Entrepreneurs, where we are going to take a look at the strategies and tactics that con men and con women have used over the years in order to influence people with ridiculous value propositions, unbelievable value propositions. We're going to show you how they have taken these people's common sense and right mind and completely set them to the side so that they would accept nonsense. Here's the good news. You're not going to steal from people. So when you put these strategies and tactics to work for a legitimate value proposition, in other words, to get people to do business with you, they're going to work even better. So today on the inaugural episode, you can't have a podcast about con men without starting off the inaugural episode with the greatest con man to ever live, according to many. There's so many stories to tell about this guy. We're just going to highlight one today, but he is an amazing, amazing influencer. And if you use his process to make honest, legitimate value propositions, you will close more, you will sell more. And of course, if you don't know already, we are speaking about the great Victor Lustig, the Count of the king, perhaps, but the Count of the con. And we're going to talk today how he sold the Eiffel Tower. He actually sold it twice. The second time he got caught, but he actually sold it twice. So we are going to discuss how he sold the Eiffel Tower to a bunch of junk dealers. This is a excerpt from my book, The World's Greatest Influencers: How to Use Their Strategies and Tactics to Make More Sales and Get More Money. So here's the scene. Lustig has met a group of men in a prestigious hotel in Paris. So he's standing there. There's a group of people in front of him, and he says, "Gentlemen," Lustig said, extending his hand to the nearest man, "Deputy Director General Martin, Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs, thank you for coming on such short notice." The men straightened up almost immediately. Something in Lustig's bearing, the perfect posture, the quiet confidence, the understated elegance of his appearance commanded attention without demanding it. Andre Poisson, a heavy-set man, and I apologize. There's some French names in here. I'm probably going to butcher them. Just bear with me. Andre Poisson, a heavy-set man with an ambitious gleam in his eye, stepped forward eagerly. "We were intrigued by your letter, Monsieur Martin. An opportunity of great importance to Paris, you said." Lustig smiled apologetically. "Perhaps we should continue this conversation in private." He gestured toward the meeting room. "I've arranged for us to use the Salon des Ambassadeurs. What we're about to discuss requires the utmost discretion." The wood-paneled room smelled of beeswax and old money. A crystal chandelier cast dancing patterns across the antique table where the men took their seats. Lustig remained standing, moving to the window where Parisian rooftops spread before him. He turned his face to him, his expression grave. "Gentlemen, I'll be direct. You've all seen the Eiffel Tower, of course, a marvel of engineering, a symbol of our great city." He paused, gauging their reactions. "What you may not know is that it was never intended to be permanent. The maintenance costs have become prohibitive." Marcel Dupois, the oldest of the dealers, frowned. Surely the city wouldn't. "The city has been deliberating this matter for some months," Lustig interjected smoothly. "The structural reports are concerning. The metal is corroding faster than anticipated. The cost of painting alone is staggering, not to mention the safety inspections and repairs." He shook his head. "The decision wasn't made lightly." Poisson leaned forward. "What decision exactly?" Lustig met his gaze steadily. "The Eiffel Tower is to be dismantled." A moment of stunned silence broken by a collective murmur of surprise. "But the public," began Dupois. "Would be outraged, yes," Lustig agreed, "which is precisely why this matter requires such delicacy. The sentimental attachment to the tower is considerable, but the sentiment does not balance budgets." He withdrew several documents from his leather portfolio. "These are the engineering assessments: 7,000 tons of puddled iron. The dismantling alone will be a considerable undertaking. For obvious reasons, this decision cannot be made public yet. The sentimental attachment many Parisians feel towards the structure would create political complications. This is why we've approached you privately. As the city's leading scrap dealers, you have been selected to bid on the right to dismantle and reclaim the tower's 7,000 tons of puddled iron. Over the next hour, the official walked them through financial projections and engineering assessments and potential timelines. He answered their questions with precise technical knowledge, and occasionally took calls from the minister that seemed to confirm his authority. By the meeting's end, the dealers were calculating potential profits with gleaming eyes. Later that evening, Lustig sat at the desk in his hotel suite, reviewing notes on each of the six dealers. His companion, Danny Colbert, lounged nearby, smoking a cigarette. Well, Colbert asked, who's the mark? Lustig tapped his finger on one name, Poisson. He's hungry, eager to prove himself. New money, trying to establish himself among old. Did you see how he kept glancing at the others, checking their reactions? He wants this not just for the profits, but for the prestige. Colbert exhaled a stream of smoke. The others, too cautious. Dupois has been in the business for 40 years. He'll verify everything. The others will follow his lead. Lustig smiled slightly, but Poisson wants to step out of the shadows. He'll move quickly, afraid someone else might seize the opportunity. So that's the setup for the con. Now, let's talk very briefly about what Lustig did there. First, he created exclusivity. He showed up looking to the nines. He projected a very confident, absolute manner about how he was talking, about how he presented himself. He avoided the conversation when they jumped right into the conversation. What's this about? He said, "Well, let's go in the room." He created an air of importance because this isn't something we can discuss in public. This is private. This is something we've got to discuss over here. And he wasn't jumping at the opportunity to say anything. Then, when he first started presenting the opportunity, when he first started presenting kind of the background story, he based it in so he based the story in something that was true. Apparently, the Eiffel Tower was not meant to be permanent. So, but he acted like they might not know that, but certainly all of them knew that. I'm sure Parisians knew that, particularly back in the day. People knew that the Eiffel Tower was not going to be a permanent structure, but people loved it so much. The Parisians loved it so much, they decided to keep it up. So, so that he started with the idea that they might not know something that he knew that they knew, and then he presented it to them as if he was revealing something to them. That does two things. It makes them feel smart, and it also confirms this. It also helps confirm the story that he's telling to them. Then he gave them all of the reason why they needed to not say anything to anybody. This has got to remain private, right? So now he's shielding himself from them going out and talking to other people and getting information. Now, this is very specific in the biz op industry, but really can be applied to anything. But if you're in multi-level marketing or if you're selling a business opportunity, one of the things that you need to prepare your prospects for is when they go talk to other people, the other people are going to tell them that they're ridiculous, that's stupid, it's a harebrained idea, they can't do it. So you have got to be able to protect them from that negative influence, and you've got to be able to prepare them to counter that negative influence, if not externally, at least internally. So that's what Lustig was doing here. He was preparing, he was shielding them from going and looking to find anything out. Then he made the whole thing sound very, you guys have been selected because you're the biggest junk dealers. This isn't open to everybody. This is a very exclusive thing that only you are going to be able to do. So now they have something to lose because not only do they have an opportunity of getting this big job, but on top of that, if they lose the exclusivity, if they tell anybody, they're going to be kicked out of the group. You're not allowed to bid on it anymore. Only these people are allowed to bid on it. Suddenly, that's something to lose from an ego point of view, right? So then he identifies who he wants to talk to. So now all that whole show was prospecting, right? So Lustig was just prospecting for the mark. He was just observing behavior, getting an idea of who might jump for it, who might not jump for it, what kind of business they were in. He may have even had Poisson targeted from the very beginning, and the whole show, the whole thing of having everybody come around was to number one, confirm that he was the person who he was the mark, he was the correct mark. And number two, create a bunch of credibility because all the other people are there. I mean, Poisson's not going to question it. All of his competitors are there. All of the biggest junk dealers and scrap dealers in Paris are there. He's certainly not going to question whether this is legitimate or not. I mean, if it wasn't legitimate, all these people wouldn't be here. So that shows a tremendous. Here's my point: go through, make notes about what we just talked about what Lustig did, and then figure out how you can apply these things to your business. How can you make something feel exclusive? How can you make somebody feel special that they even get a chance to talk to you? How can you how can you shield them from your competition? So in the roofing business, we used to shield people from our competition by making a point of showing the things that we did that no other roofer did. Now, they weren't a big deal, but we did this with here's the questions to ask all the other roofers because we're the only one who could answer yes to all of those questions. So the questions were designed specifically to disqualify everybody else. So how do you shield your prospect from other people, from your competition, or from other people who are going to, if like I said, if you're in the biz op business, how are you, or multi-level marketing or that kind of thing, how are you going to shield your new people from negative influences? And then what's your perfect prospect, right? So you've got to identify your prospect. If you're talking to somebody on a one-on-one sales call, and you've got to decide if this person is a prospect or not quickly because you don't have time. I mean, unless you just need to get some practice in and think, yeah, what the hell? I'll just do a presentation just to get the practice in. But if this person isn't a prospect to begin with, get rid of them. If none of them were prospects, Lustig would have just moved on. He'd have found another con. So maybe he was targeting Poisson to begin with. Maybe he figured I'll just get all of them in a room and then make an assessment if any of them are appropriate and which one is most appropriate to go with this for. But the point is that he was looking for his ideal prospect, and then he confirmed that that prospect was the ideal prospect by having this meeting and talking with him. So that's a little bit about that's a little bit about Count Lustig. We could do 100 episodes on the Count. I mean, we have the Money Machine con. We have the 10 rules of the con. I mean, the guy was perhaps the most influential person to ever live, and he knew how to manipulate people to get them to do what they wanted. So I hope that was fun. I know it was for me, and I will see you back here next time for another episode of Hustlers, Gamblers, and Entrepreneurs. Cheers.